Hey hackers, this is our first ever interview on the podcast and I have a very special guest today whom I just met this week. Now our special guest was talking to me in a cafe on Monday and telling me her experience, and I was like, oh my god, more people need to know about this so they don't have to go through the crap you went through. So everyone, this is Kirsty Carlini. She is here today to share with us how not to go through a 1.5-year court case for your rights and how to know your rights at work. Welcome to Hacked As, Kirsty. Can you tell us what happened and why did you end up spending a 1.5 year going through court?
So it basically all started 2016 is when I actually hurt myself. So I was in a pharmacy and I hurt my back. Basically just little things. So I guess what I really didn't know was your rights as in a workplace when you hurt yourself or an incident. I didn't know anything about incident reports.
Yeah.
So I went through 2016, 17, a year. I did a whole year of not knowing my rights until I saw a family friend who was a cousin of my mum, and basically just said, you know, you have rights. And you can do this and you can do that. You need to do your research on it. And I was quite shy all the time. And I was someone who did my job. I would never complain. Never complain. If I'm sore, it's probably just, you know, I just probably have a sore back. But this went on for quite a long time where I couldn't stand on my feet. For about 5 hours was my maximum of standing on my feet. So basically it all started that way. And generally people know you go to work, you hurt yourself, you're covered by work cover. Now that's the general process of what it goes through. But if you don't get the approval of your boss, your manager, you don't get to go to work cover. And this is where the messy part.
Wait, so what do you need to be approved? They need to approve that you actually hurt yourself?
Correct. Yeah, so how it generally works, if you hurt yourself, you tell your manager. Your manager's job is then to do an incident report. So the whole purpose of an incident report is to write what happened, who was there, how it happened, and how you hurt yourself. So this happens in future reference. So if you did hurt yourself, you have a report to go back to and go, oh my gosh, you hurt yourself this date, it's quite serious. You know, she needs to go to the doctor, have these days off.
Yeah.
When you give an incident report and you give it to work cover, they can then see what's happened and treat as that. So work cover is basically get you back to work or help you work with an injury, basically. So if you got approved by work cover, say I do 5 hours of work, I go home, I still get paid for the full day.
Okay.
So they're trying to get you back to work, but still paying you with the time that you're missing, basically. But what happened in my case was my manager said no. So there was no incident report. My manager denied the fact that I hurt myself at work. Yeah, it's quite messy, which then kind of blew everything out of proportion.
Yeah.
So with work cover, you have about 6 to 12 months to have a report. You have to go and say, I hurt myself within this time. If you miss the 6 or 12 months, it becomes a personal injury, which is a lawyer, basically. You need to go to see a lawyer for a personal injury claim, which is what I went through. And basically, it all started from there. So what really happened was we originally had one manager, and then she was teaching our current manager as it is.
Yeah.
And it was really rushed, really, really rushed. This is like one thing I can't highlight enough is like teaching someone and not being in a rush. If it's a manager job, you need to know the ins and outs.
Yeah.
Like workplace health and safety is a massive great area, and not just in any job. Every company has obviously workplace and health and safety, you know, standards and whatnot. But do you really know them?
No. I just learned, do you know what? I just learned last week. My new manager just told us, and I think he told a couple of us at work, and none of us knew, that when you're driving to work and when you're driving home from work, you're actually covered by the company's insurance.
Correct.
What the heck?
Yeah,
I've been working for like 10 years and no one has ever said that.
That's right. Yeah, so basically your company pays a premium to an insurance company, which is work cover. Work cover is that insurance, basically.
Yeah.
If anything happens, it's not the manager, it's not the business paying it, it's the insurance that pays it. So once again, this plays into why our manager blew it up when it wasn't any of his money, it was insurance. So once again, going back to my old manager training the new one, she's about our age, basically. So, and this manager was in quite a rush to leave. So I told her I hurt myself. She wrote it down, told me to go to the doctor, but this is where it all started. She didn't take any notice of me hurting myself, me going to the doctor. And this is all beginning stuff where you go, oh, okay, she's helping me out. She's telling me to go to the doctor on my lunch break, okay? No! You need time off to go to the doctors.
Yeah, you should
It needs to be
spend
documented.
your time.
That's right, it's documented. Okay? It needs to be documented.
Okay.
So this is all just little stuff that you just turn a blind eye to.
Yeah.
Your boss says, that's fine, go to the doctors right now. Did they write it down? Did they give you leave on that? Are you getting paid for that? You don't know. All as you know, as when it comes back to the paperwork, is you're at work. And this is again where it comes back to the bigger picture when it all goes to the bigger people, basically. Yeah. So she left, and then the new manager came in and knew nothing about what had happened to me. So I would come into the office crying, in pain. I wouldn't be able to do my job. She had no idea what was going on. Communication between the old manager and the new manager was not there. So again, I don't blame her at all. She had no idea. Yeah. So
and she had to start the process all over again.
Correct, but she didn't know how to do the process. I don't even think she was taught the whole, grey area of workplace health and safety.
Yeah, because a back injury is serious.
It's correct. Yes, correct.
It's so serious.
Yes.
You can only stand for 5 hours.
Yes.
How are you supposed to live your life like
Correct.
that?
So I was 21 at the time, and doctors couldn't understand how I was 21 and not being able to stand.
Yeah.
So it was quite serious.
Yeah.
I had a couple of knockbacks from doctors, as backs, as you know, is very, very complex. You can't just stick a needle in. There's spines, there's nerves, you've only got little millimeter gaps between, the bone and the nerves that go through it. It's a very delicate area that no one knows much about or doesn't want to, go straight in and just jab you with an injection.
So you went through a year and a half in court.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
It was very hard. I had to gather quite a lot of evidence while still being at the pharmacy. So I chose to stay at the pharmacy just for, I guess I'm quite hard-headed. I think I want to stay in a place and see, I want to see improvements. I did this and I want to see what happened. I want to see the process of, are they updating their procedures? Are they going to let other people know that there's incident reports? I want to stay for that, to see it improve, basically, but nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
No, nothing
when
changed at all.
Going on,
That's right.
You were taking them to court and they still didn't change anything to save themselves. But then if it was to happen to anyone else.
Correct. So
it's crazy.
It was all behind the scenes, really. It was, I went into pharmacy straight after school and they were like my family. And I have a lot of faith in humanity. They wouldn't do that to me. So I went in there like that, and for my family, my work family, to be like, why are you crying? Why do you need to go home early? What's wrong? You know what I mean? Was a lot for me.
That's horrible. It showed they didn't actually care about
exactly.
you.
That's
they
the
were
care
so worried
factor.
about.
And I think that's where everyone in their life hits bottom.
Yeah.
And that was my bottom, is realizing that people don't actually fucking care about you.
Yeah. Yes, she can swear.
And that's where I learnt that work is work. You go to work to work. You don't go to work to socialise, to make friends. You do, but in a sense that they just backstab you. And that's what happened. So, back to the whole process again, sorry. So you have to go through your manager, basically. So I asked my manager, I've been looking at work cover. Do you think I could, go into it? Because, I think I need to do this during work. I'm having trouble. I went through every process possible. Asking to sit down and still do what needs to be done at the back. There's Webster packing, which is basically you just put medication into days of the week for homes and stuff like that people just pop them out and just do them like that. I asked to do that, to train in that, because I'm sitting down. You sit down for about half a day doing that. Cold pack on my back, it was perfect. No.
Were you employed as a casual or full-time, part-time?
Yes. So I was full-time at the time.
You were full-time?
Yeah. Yep. I did try to keep my hours. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. I then dropped down to part-time and started studying.
So you had to be part-time because you couldn't work because of your physical health?
Correct.
that you experienced at work.
Correct.
And they were just like okay with you becoming a part-time instead
Correct.
of giving you something you could do. So we want to have faith in humanity, like we do, but then stuff like this happens. And if you say you had your injury again tomorrow, what would you do differently this time?
This time I would, well, now that I know what an incident report is, I would ask the manager for an incident report.
Yeah.
Basically. But then again, I think it also falls on the company at the time to do regular meetings. Once again, we never had regular meetings. We didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? Like if you have, I guess, regular meetings say, hey guys, can't stress enough if you guys hurt yourself at all because, you know, you're doing heavy lifting. At the time, I was a stock controller. Lifting boxes.
Yeah.
When you think of stock controller, what do you think of?
Picking stuff up.
Correct. So you think at a meeting, you'd be like, Kirsty, as a stock controller, you might be lifting some heavy boxes or bending quite a lot. This is what an incident report looks like. You know what I mean? Like not just me, but everyone.
Yeah.
You can cut yourself just opening a box with a, you know what I mean? Like just with a Stanley knife. It's as little as that. Every little thing needs to be recorded. It doesn't have to be like, you know, what I went through. Like it doesn't have to be that. It could just be a slice on the thumb. Just so everything is recorded, you know, and that just says no more attention needed. It was minor. You know what I mean? And
at least it's covered then.
Correct, that's right. And that would then go into a process of basically how to minimize it again. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's always say close our blades now. After we open the box, we want to close them straight away. That's taking out the risk of, you know, just cutting yourself basically.
It seems like common sense, a lot of it. It sounds like common sense, but it's still something that needs to be said in a workplace, in a professional environment. Still, you need to have these conversations with people. Like when I'm cutting boxes at work, sometimes I'm just cutting it towards myself.
Correct.
I know I'm not supposed to be doing that, but because I like
that's right.
you just don't really think
and I
about
guess
it.
if we're not really told, we don't really know. You know, we think it's normal. I'll just open a box like this. You know what I mean? You never think to just open it away from you.
Yeah, because it seems easier to do it like this.
That's correct. That's
you
right.
got more control.
Until something happens. Until something happens. And then,
I wish we could have done the way.
And then that's where everyone goes, all right, guys, let's now, you know, open our boxes away from the body.
Yeah.
Because we've had one incident, we now need to learn from that. You know, we don't want more incidents or, you know, like someone actually hurting themselves.
Exactly. It just needs to be said. These things just need to
That's
be
right.
said. Even though at the time everyone's like, I know,
That's right.
or that's dumb, or
That's
I'm not
right.
a child,
Yeah,
or something like that. But it still needs to be said, and you still need to know what's next if something does happen. What is next? Like
That's
your
right.
incident report.
Yeah.
I've never even. I mean, I've heard of those because my mum works in aged care and
Correct.
nursing, so that's something that they will do all the
Yes.
time. But in a job that's not in that kind of industry, like a
that's
retail position or something like that, no one really talks about it.
Yeah, and I think when it comes down to little businesses, I know little businesses do get away with a lot as a corporate company does.
Yeah.
So your corporate, because there's so many of them, they need to follow these rules and regulations. You know, something happens, they're on it because they can get sued. You know what I mean? Like that's their reputation. Little companies, little businesses get away with it a lot more because it's just.
Also, people really rely on just a relationship,
Correct.
and sometimes, I mean, relying, they take advantage of that.
Correct.
They take advantage of your trust and just don't. It's kind of like when they say you don't get your family to do work for you
Correct.
because they won't pay you on time or something. They just kind of maybe do a dodgy job compared to if it was professional.
Yes.
Whereas at work, once they start to have a relationship, it's like they let a lot of things slide.
Professional loses.
Yeah.
They lose their professionalism.
They do, and they just let. And I mean, we're living in a time where insurance is such a big deal, and people will cut corners and stuff. I have been effed over an insurance claim before because I backed into someone's car, and being the honest person I am, I was 19, I think, and I backed into a BMW.
Nice.
Oh my god, it was just a stupid thing. But I actually went. The whole process lasted for like 18 months, because they just sent me a $2,000 bill.
Correct.
And it's like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, aren't I supposed to choose? Like, aren't you supposed to send me a quote? Aren't you supposed to do this? And I went around to so many different panel beaters. I showed them the quote. I showed them well, not the quote because it was already been done.
Yeah.
I showed them the bill. I showed them the photos, and they were like, yeah, they've fucked you over.
That's correct.
They've fucked you over, but I will not sign anything and put my name on anything because that insurance company will then get rid of all of my work.
Correct.
Because the insurance companies talk.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're probably going to be shut down for sharing this episode.
Yes.
But like, it's a bit scary.
It is. It's very scary.
So that's why it's so important to know what your rights are.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So without a family friend telling me what I could do, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
I think I would have eventually left work and still be in the dark place that I was.
So how are you now? Like physically, how's your back?
It still needs to be maintained. I do have to exercise regularly, but I can't do weights. I can't do gym work, or I can't, just be at home, just doing kettlebell stuff. I have to be supervised. I have to focus on my core, basically, just to strengthen your back. Still get sore every now and then. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
If I sit down too long, if I lay down too much, if I'm standing up too much.
Like you shouldn't have to live with that. Like that's just so not fair that happened to you.
Yeah.
And now you have to live with that.
That's right. But I think, seeing it now and looking back, it happened for a reason. It pushed me to start studying. Studying my business legal. And in this business legal, we learn everything about workplace health and safety, risk management, how to minimize a risk and not make it a hazard.
Yeah.
And doing this study and thinking back of that workplace, it was very unsafe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just from a little cord running across the floor, you may think it's nothing. Just step over it.
Yeah.
Someone who drags their feet, someone who's carrying a box, someone who's just really busy, trips over that.
Yeah.
That's it. It's done.
It could be serious.
That's right. You could fall over, hurt your elbow, break your elbow. You hear about
hit your head or anything.
Yeah, correct, definitely. I heard a story about at my brother's work, an elderly lady tripped over some cords and she shattered her elbow. So it's just as little.
Yeah, especially
as
if you have customers coming in and stuff as well.
That's right.
And especially in a pharmacy where people are often unwell when they go.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of elderly people as well.
Yeah.
The older spectrum is more what pharmacies aim for as well. But,
Who a fall can be like the end.
Correct. Yeah. So I can't. Yeah. It was a very big eye opener.
Yeah.
And I guess I really wanted to know what can and can't I do. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm employed here, but like, what's the standards of this place? You know what I mean? Like, these boxes are stacked so high to the roof. I'm sure there's some healthy standard there. You know what I mean? Like, that's gonna fall on someone. Like, and it's not.
Yeah.
What if there's a manager coming out and go, guys, that's really unsafe?
Yeah.
That's what baffles me the most, and I don't know if that's just how I look at the world and think like, that's not right.
Yeah.
But I guess
no, that's not. And most people don't know that stuff.
That's right. Yeah. And I never noticed it before. I would always think like, oh, I'm so far up. Let's get the massive ladder, girls. Come on, help me up. I'll throw it down. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was like. That's what it was like. It was like, girls, coming out. Yeah, you got it. Okay, here. You know what I mean? You just throw it down. We didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
no one told you.
No one told us. No one said, girls, that's really unsafe. You could hurt yourself. We didn't know any better.
Yeah, follow procedures.
That's
have
right.
procedures in place
Yeah.
to protect you.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
so that these things don't happen.
Yes.
So your experience has changed your life in more than one way. It has got you to study business legal so that you can stop this from happening to anyone else. Is
Correct.
that right?
There are a lot of people still in that workplace that want my advice on certain things. I actually get a call from a lady who just recently hurt herself at work, but she was on a break and she was crying to me. She's like, I hurt myself. I hurt my ankle, but I'm not at work. I said, what do you mean you're not at work? She's like, I'm on my break. I said, you're still covered. You're covered.
Yeah.
You're at work. You are at work.
Yeah.
You're going to work. You're going to lunch. You're coming back. You are still covered.
Yeah.
For that 8 hours of work,
That's good.
you're covered.
And your way home and your way back to
That's
work.
right. Yeah. You're still there.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, that's good that you have that protection there. So have things still not changed there? Is that why she's calling you? Because there's no incident report.
I think she called me because she didn't want to go through the same thing that I went through.
Yeah.
So I can't stress enough is if something happens, the first thing you want to do is instead of just going straight to work cover, a lot of people go, I'm taking straight to work cover. You need to do your research quite a lot. So there's government sites. Just Google.
Where can they go?
fairwork.gov.au. Everything's there.
Fairwork.gov.au. Guys.
Everything is there. Bullying, payment issues, leave, personal leave, everything is there. And every company will have different guidelines, but it just gives you a guide on what to expect.
Yeah.
You know, if you're working such and such hours a week, you are entitled to this much.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, stuff like that.
It's crazy people don't know their entitlements.
No, that's
and
right.
even stuff like at one of my workplaces, it's open it used to be open 8 till 10, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So then one girl would finish at 10, but then she was rostered on to start at 7:30. And there's actually a law against that. You have to have 10 hours between shifts or something like that, or otherwise you should be paid penalties. And we didn't know that. And how long had she been doing that for? And when she actually brought it up, I'm pretty sure the company, I won't name any names of the company, but the company was just like, well, just don't do that anymore.
Correct.
And then there was no like a back pay or compensation for the fact that you've been living that. And you know why? Because this person was happy just to be like,
yes, I'll do it.
I won't do it anymore then. Because like you feel like I don't know, as people, we are like shamed from being a squeaky wheel. Like, you know, that's just a squeaky wheel, or
we
just
don't want
a
to break
whinger.
the wheel, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think you feel intimidated when you go to a manager and go, hey, I don't think this is right, and they go, well, it is. You know what I mean? Like, are they going to pull out your contract?
Yeah.
You know, as a proper manager, you think that'd be like, this is in your contract, this is what you signed for. I'm sorry that you weren't aware of it, but you know what I mean? Like, let's go through your contract again. Let's make sure you understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whereas it sounds like the place that you're at and the place that I was at didn't bother about that. They were just like, well, you're rostered on. That's how it was.
Yeah. Well,
that's what you need to do.
Yeah. They didn't know the rules, which I believe as the business company should know the rules already and be like, okay, we're a business that's open these hours. Can a person actually be on to this time and then start at this time? Like, that's something they should just know.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be something that you have as an employee have to be like, hang on, am I allowed to do
like,
this?
It's not something that we should go out of our way to search and be like, this seems wrong.
Yeah. Because that's just taking advantage of you.
That's right.
And hoping that you won't know.
Correct.
And hoping you won't cause a fuss. And it's like, just don't be an asshole and just tell people their rights and just...
I think it really comes down to is poor management. Very, very poor management. And someone once told me that there is bad businesses out there.
There are.
There is very poor management and there's bad businesses.
More bad businesses than not.
And I think you have to go through something to really open your eyes and realize that, you know, this stuff actually exists.
Yeah. And so the best thing that you can do is just learn what your rights are. If you feel like something's not right, I mean, sometimes you don't even realize. Like, if you work after 6 p.m., your pay rate is supposed to change. So if you're working late, then you should be paid more. If you work more than a certain amount of hours, you should be paid penalty rates, all these kinds of things. People normally know about their wages just because people are onto their money, so they kind of have an idea. But like sometimes you don't even know that what's going on is not right.
I guess because we have so much trust in, you know, them to pay us the right amount. And that's just, I don't know if I'm the only person that does that, but I have a lot of, like I said, I have a lot of trust in people, in humanity. Like, okay, they'll pay me properly. I'm sure they'll pay me properly. Do we know that? No. To look at your pay slips and go, wait a minute, I did more than those hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where's my pay? You know what I mean? And then it comes like a massive mess. But I guess once again,
and it's awkward to bring it up. So how did you go about bringing this up? Because that's awkward. But how did you do it?
It was very hard. I guess I had no other way. I was in so much pain. I had to say something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I was faking it. Like, my eyes were bloodshot. I was crying all the time. You can tell when someone's in pain.
Yeah.
And so I had to go talk to the manager. You know what I mean? Like, I would either be down at the storeroom bawling my eyes out, and someone would have to say that I need to go home because I couldn't move. They would either come to me or I'd have to go to them. And at first it was treated like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? You know, no one knew what it was until we were I was not diagnosed, but they found out that I had degenerative discs. Now, everyone has degenerative discs, okay? Don't get me wrong. But it's a matter of how it gets irritated that affects you later on, okay? Everyone will have one degenerative disc or in general.
What is degenerative?
So basically where your bones or your spine isn't as its whole. It's kind of just slowly, not being eaten away, I wouldn't say eaten away, but disappearing, basically.
Okay.
So that cushion in between your spine. So you got the spine, the little cushion, and another spine, and that's what absorbs
Yep, the fluid.
the shock. That's right. Yeah, you're shocking. When you jump, that's what that's what cushions and whatnot. So when that's degenerative is when it's not all there. It's a bit too much pressure on one side, which can then squash that pillow, and which is what you get is when you get like a pinched nerve. So that pushes, and that liquid in the middle, that fluid, will push out and hit a nerve. So that's a pinched nerve.
Whenever I learn about spinal stuff, I'm just like, oh my god, how are we alive?
So
how are we even walking around and we're okay?
It's so I still can't wrap my head around it. So it's called a bulge disc, which is, like I said, was that fluid bit bulges out, and when it hits a nerve, it's pinching. So it's a bulge disc which hits a nerve.
Yeah.
Basically, and that's
Okay.
what it's
that's what's
very
happened.
complex, but
Yeah.
that's what happened. Irritated the degenerative disc by doing repetitive stuff, repetitive lifting. Same thing with when you're typing. They get it in their wrists. What is it? Is it RSI?
Repeated strain injury.
That's it. Yeah, you're doing the same thing every day. You're doing the same thing. You're not moving. You're not stopping. You're not exercising.
Yeah.
You're not stretching. Basically, same thing. So it's not just in your back.
Yeah.
Your wrist. People get it in any joints basically.
Yeah.
But
And you learn about that stuff in school, ergonomics, and having like your computer
Yeah,
in a
and
certain place
even-
and sitting like a certain place and getting up and
Yeah.
because it's serious. Because I mean, you are
that's
doing
right.
that at
That's right.
school
But we
anyway.
don't take that seriously when we're in the workplace. Like when I'm studying, like once again the workplace health and safety that I'm doing, you go through a whole step and layout of how your computer should be. That you need to be exactly positioned, like arm's length away and blah blah to prevent these things happening. There's also things when you're squatting and when you're standing, which a lot of things is what a lot of doctors had to watch me squat, watch me bend, watch me pick up, and just by little movements see how I'm moving and whatnot. And that was all really hard as well, because the work cover doctors, they don't want to say yes, you've got an injury, so they will drag it out as long as possible.
Why?
They don't want to pay you. They don't want to give you
Right.
compensation.
It's all about the money. Hey?
Correct. It's all about money. Correct. So you need to have your GP behind you. And I don't mean like any GP. You need to have your GP
Yeah.
that has known you. You know what I mean? Not for a while, but like has gone through the motions with you.
At least that they would know what you were like before.
Correct. So you want a doctor that will stand behind you and be like, no, that's not what happened. No, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
This is what it is, and will basically be a bulldog in your fight, basically.
Oh, that's good.
So that's what was a good thing I had with me, was I had a really good doctor who stood behind me and said, no, I deny that, no this, and said, you need to go, you need to give this, you need to go and work cover. I will write you to have so many days off at work. You need a doctor that understands your pain, basically. And my doctor was brilliant. If I needed time off, he would just see it. He'd be like, I'm giving you 2 weeks. I'll give you a month. Even if it was unpaid, I didn't care at that point.
Yeah.
I was in pain. And I would be gone for a whole month and I wouldn't be able to be checked up on by my manager. Nothing. So once again, guys, that also falls under bullying and harassment.
Really?
Yes.
See, bloody hell. See, like, I mean, I'm not the only one, but when you get those OH&S handouts and stuff, you're just like,
That's right.
blah.
You don't read it, you flip straight to the end of the page and you sign
it
your
and you
life
don't.
away.
And then when something happens, then you're just like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
so I
did
can't,
sign
once again, I
that?
can't stress enough, like, skim through it if you want. Skim through it, but don't just go, yep, sign. Like,
Yeah.
there could be something in there that says, we are not liable if you hurt yourself in the workplace. Something little, as this
Oh
little,
my
as this
God,
little sentence, there
really?
could be something so small like that.
But even then, isn't there still like a duty of care there?
Of
So
course,
they
of course.
couldn't really just say we are not liable.
That's right.
'cause,
Yeah,
like,
of course there's a duty of care, but that also depends on the person.
Yeah.
I didn't get any duty of care, and that's where I got them as well. I got them for no duty of care and negligence.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't do bullying workplace, like bullying harassment, as in that's another claim.
See, that's what I think is horrible as well, because had to go through all of this crap. You had to go through the pain, not just the pain of now your life is different because you can't do certain things that you could do before. Now you have to train a different way. Now you have to take care of yourself, especially like differently. But then not only that, but those people were your family. You loved those people, and you've like lost so many relationships, and that's really takes its toll on your mental health. And then you were telling me on Monday that you have to make a separate claim for mental health.
Yes, correct.
Now that is so bad because like you know that a physical matter always has repercussions in your mind because you're one unit. You can't just separate a physical, like there's trauma, mental trauma, emotional trauma, and the fact that you have to actually make two claims, and you had already been through court for a year and a half. Who wants to go through that crap all over
That's
again?
right. Yeah, so it's two different claims. There's one claim as a personal injury, and then there's another claim as bullying and harassment or mental health, basically. I guess it also depends on the lawyers that you get. Some might say to a degree that she's been put through a lot of pain and mental, you know what I mean, like that they won't do another claim. But I guess it all comes down to the settlement, I guess. If they're going to give you this much, it's because there was bullying and harassment. It's documented and blah blah blah. But document everything. If you think you're ever in a position that you're being bullied, or if you ever think something's unfair, I can't stress enough, document everything.
It's only just a matter of pulling out your phone and getting your notes section up and writing down the date and the time.
The date, the time, how you felt, how it happened, who was around you, who you went to, is the main things is what you need to write. My parents always told me write it down, and I'd be like, that's stupid. Why would I write that down? But a year and a half later, you don't think back of how you felt back then.
Remember.
I mean, it's very vivid now because it was so real, but you can't think of the time or the date it was. You know what I mean? That there was
who was there, who wasn't there, and then when you think about something so much, you're like, I don't know if I made this part up or if this was real or which part actually happened. If you're getting things confused, so writing it down.
Even if you think it's silly, like even if you think it's oh, this isn't worth it, or why am I writing this? Write it down. It could be something so minor that in a couple of months' time turns to something so major. And I think that's a lot of people think like, oh, it's just a sore back, and that's how I was. Like I know I've been diagnosed with endometriosis, so when I would get a sore back, they would play it off as my period. So yes, my period was very weird throughout my whole life, but when I got a sore back, I just thought it was my period. Yes, did you get a sore back when you get your period?
Sometimes,
correct. So most times I'd be like, oh, it's just my period.
Oh my gosh, and you have endo as well.
So they try to play on that as well, as in like, no, she didn't hurt herself at work. It's endo. Pre-existing injury and that's where they'll get you. They'll be like, no, it's pre-existing, but it's not. And that's where you need to fight for is when...
Oh my God. That's also where it comes into having a good relationship with your doctor.
Correct. So your doctor can pull up, before the injury date and show you what the actual cause was. If it's diagnosed, that's even better because it can be like that's undiagnosed and that's diagnosed. So it can't be endometriosis if it's this. But that was also another problem that I had is I did not have diagnosed endometriosis at that time. It was only a couple of months after that I was in hospital and I was diagnosed with endometriosis. But that's what they played on is, no, you've got endometriosis. It's not your back. So.
Wow. Kirsty, you've been through a lot, but you've learned a lot, and I think that your message is going to help a lot of people.
I hope so. Like, it's just, if you ever feel like you're being treated unfairly, like, there's ombudsmans that give free services for that reason. And an ombudsman basically is a person you can speak to if something doesn't get dealt directly by the company. So you can call them up, and they're free. You can have a little chat and be like, hey, such and such has happened, blah, 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 blah. And they'll give you a professional advice on what will happen, what should happen, and advise you what to do like that. It's very short, but it gives you a sight of what direction you need to go. Talk to your doctor, once again. Like, your doctor will also direct you in what path to take. If you go, do you think this is worth taking to work cover? And if you have a good doctor, they'll be like, well, does it affect your work? Yes. Are you doing, less hours than what you work? Yes. Then yes.
Affects your life.
That's right. Does it affect?
You can't do stuff like.
Yeah. So
it's so good to have that. Like when I heard you talking about it on Monday, I was like, oh my god.
yeah,
People need to know this stuff because
Yeah.
we just don't know our rights because we're not told our rights.
Yeah.
We're taught algebra. We're not taught our rights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't.
well, I guess it's very different. Like, it's such a massive like spectrum of rights. You know, one company just doesn't have the same rights as another
Okay.
company would. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in hospitality, it might be different with the hours you were saying. Hospitality, they can work certain hours and get certain pay rates on certain days.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure about the hospitality part, but
Yeah. That's a different.
that's
yeah.
right. So it
But
depends
if
on.
you're in hospitality, then you've still got access to that
Yeah,
information.
correct. Yeah, definitely.
still
Yeah,
find all
you
that
can
out.
narrow it down. But what I guess what you work in,
Yeah.
whether it's retail,
Yeah.
hospitality, anything like that, it narrows it down quite a lot. Even if you just type in hospitality hours or
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's all on there. It's all on Google.
Yeah,
Guys,
definitely.
we have a little superpower in our hands, and that is your phone, which has all the information. If it's connected to the online, it's got all the information in the world on there. Stop looking at cat videos and start looking up your rights and find
even
out.
on your lunch
Protect
break.
yourself.
On your lunch break.
Yeah.
Just have a look. Like just little things. Like I remember one girl was asking me like, oh my god, I don't have how do I find, what am I entitled to? Like, how do I explain it? Doctor certificate is another big thing at work. Your employer can ask for a doctor certificate whenever they want, right? But if it's within 2 days, you have to supply a doctor certificate. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't.
You didn't know 2 days you had to, if you were absent 2 days, you have to
Oh
have a
yeah,
doctor
yeah. If
certificate.
it's more than 2
Correct.
days.
But did you
yeah.
know if you left work and you're only there for 5 hours, your manager can turn around to you and say, I want a doctor certificate.
No, I did not know that.
So it's normally within 24 hours. But again, depending on your workplace and how much your manager is as well
Yes.
as a person,
Yes.
can say, while you're away, do you mind going to a doctor and getting me a doctor's certificate? I know you're in pain. I guess it depends, like I said, on the person.
Yeah.
Your manager can turn around and be an asshole and be like, I want a doctor's certificate for
Yeah.
2 hours that you haven't been at work.
Yeah.
And you have to provide it.
And just cover yourself.
That's correct. Yeah. Just
cover
cover yourself, guys. Don't be like, nah, screw you, it's only 2 hours. Cover yourself.
And also because you might have a great manager. Like I've got really good managers. They're like one of them, she's like a mother to me. Another one's like a sister to me. Like, but they have people above them, and they might not have any relationship with you. They'll just be like, that person needs this. That
Correct.
person needs, give me that
Correct.
for that person.
Yeah.
What that person took leave, give me time. Like what is? So
Yeah.
you have to also help like cover them as well at the same time. You're covering you and your manager, who might be your good friend, who might be lenient, but
Yeah.
someone on top of them might be like, no,
That's
I
right.
need this.
That's right. So I guess it all comes down to management.
Yeah.
Good management, poor management.
And you were surprised by yours anyway. They were like your family and they didn't
Correct.
handle it very well.
Yeah. I guess I was young and naive, and I had just tunnel vision at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I have tunnel vision now, but I mean, like, coming into a workplace and, it was so great. Good morning, girls. How was your weekend? Blah, blah. What are you doing after work? You want to catch up? You know what I mean? Like that stuff.
Yeah.
General friend stuff, but it's at work, and I could never do, tell the difference between work and friends.
Well, you shouldn't. Like,
I mean, I'm not saying like don't have a relationship with
Yeah.
the people in the workplace.
yeah,
but
well, that's a
it's-
normal thing.
just
Like,
be
you
careful,
see friends
yeah.
as friends, especially when you're
Yeah.
still young and it's your first
Yeah,
work experience, you know?
that's right. People go to work to do their job, and I guess how competitive they are. If you do something wrong, and then they tell your manager, so it's a little bit. I think it can break up a friendship like that as well.
Yeah.
Like that also leans towards bullying, harassment again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like little stuff, like saying, "Oh, you're not doing your job properly." Goes to the manager, he tells your manager you're not doing
Yeah.
this. You have no idea, and your manager will come out and be like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" Like,
Yeah, that's
it's very
I think a lot of this is also around people's self-worth. Like,
correct.
you need to realize that you are important and you are within your rights to say something and speak up. And if someone brushes you aside, like, oh no, you'll be right, or something like that,
Take it higher.
you are important enough
right.
to pursue this. Like,
Wow.
you need to realize that.
Yeah, you think you don't matter if someone turns you down, but once again, you have your own rights.
Especially in the Australian culture where we're like, she'll be right. Oh, she'll be right.
Yeah, she'll be right. That's right.
I mean, I like she'll be right, but also at the same time, no, sometimes things are serious and you need to stick up for yourself. And if you have a hard time, then you need to contact someone who will stick up for you as well. Because I know it can be really scary.
It's hard. It's scary. It's intimidating. It's daunting.
But this is your life.
That's right. Like in the moment, you're like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, you're right. Maybe there is something wrong with me.
So, Kirsty, let's go with, all of a sudden it got really bright. I hope you guys have really been able to hear us well, because there's been different noises around here. We're in the botanical gardens and I'm yet to get a microphone. I'll probably invest in one of those. But, so Kirsty, for the people listening, for the listeners and the watchers, what would you say? Like, what is your advice? What would you do now knowing what you know? What would you do differently back then, knowing now what you do know now? Oh, does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess, really research, once again, your rights. Just double check with your manager if you ever, you want to know the relationship with your manager, if they know certain stuff, it's just ask questions, just ask, like, if I hurt myself, what do I do? Where do I go? Who do I see? Do I write on anything? Is there such thing as an incident report? Everyone should know an incident report. 2, I guess, just separate your emotions from work to friends. It's really hard, I guess, to say that stuff.
Yeah.
And 3, keep to yourself. That's really weird, but
Keep to yourself.
yeah, I guess in the workplace that you are, if you want to tell someone and then they want to turn it around and tell the manager, it can go into
So
a
you
bit
need
of
to talk to the
compromise.
right people.
You want to talk to the right people.
Don't just talk to anyone at work.
Yeah, that's right. Talk to the right people, get the right advice, talk to your GP.
And
Definitely.
things can spiral out of control once you start saying too much to different people.
That's right.
Too many people know things and then they start talking and then it can just spiral.
Yeah,
And then,
especially if it's early days. If you just think it's going to happen and get fixed in that certain day, you don't know really, because it can turn something big, like mine turned into something big and everyone just spiraled and it just went down, down, down. So talk to someone like a GP, family friend, or
yeah,
definitely just talk to someone. Yeah.
definitely. Oh, that's really good advice. And I hope that no one has to go through what Kirsty had to go through, because that is fact. I'm sorry the sun is in your face. So, we're going to wrap this up now, but it's been so good to have you on, and now the sun is in your face, so we're going to wrap it up, because the sun has moved since we've been talking for a while.
Alright.
But thank you so much for coming on to Hacked As.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being our first person interview.
I think it's like, either it's really good or it's really bad.
I think it's really good. It's really exciting. I'm excited about it. So, yeah, I think that's it. Because I would normally be like, where can people find out more about you? But then, I guess you're not really building a
No,
online
I'm not really
following.
anywhere, am I?
That's not your thing. You're just doing your study at the moment, so that's fine. Okay.
I'm not like following my journey.
If you
or
want to
anything.
hear, follow along Kirsty's journey. Well, we can. Your journey's pretty much finished, hey?
That's right.
It's done.
It's done.
So we can't check back in. But if you have questions for Kirsty, go to www.hackedasradio.com and you can put questions in, and I'll be like, Kirsty, come back on the show, please, and answer the questions.
I'll be more than happy. Like I said, I'm studying business legal, so this falls perfectly in with it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's right up your alley.
It's right up
and
my alley,
that's
guys.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much again for coming on.
Thanks for having me again.
It's been a pleasure.